Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, jury. I'm happy to present to you Optomeditech. My name is Ami Rubinstein. I'm the CEO of the company. And here with me I have Levon Gasparian, who's our founder and R&D director. Optomeditech is a medical device company based here in Finland, and we're developing technology for IV catheters and blood collection needles. The initial market that we are going after is the IV catheter market, which is about a $2 billion market a year with about 1 billion placed catheters every year. An IV catheter is a small plastic tube that gets inserted into vein for administration of medication and liquids. The IV catheter placement is the most common invasive procedure in the world, and it's also the one that causes the most customer complaints. Out of the 1 billion catheters that get placed a year, over 30% of those first attempts fail. So there are over 300 million failed attempts a year to place the IV catheter, which leads into added cost, complications, and patient discomfort. Just to quantify that problem even a little bit further, each attempt in the US to place an IV catheter costs between $32 to $70, even though the price of the catheter itself is only $2. So every time we fail an attempt, we accrue an extra cost of $32 to $70, which means that every year we are wasting between 10 to 20 billion US on failed attempts to place catheters. And that's without even taking into consideration the complications and further costs coming from there and the patient discomfort that comes along with this problem. At Optomeditech, we have developed our OptiVein system, which consists of a single-use catheter and an electronic unit that gets attached to the end of the catheter. And when we use the catheter, there is green light coming from the end of the tip of the needle, which is visible all the way when you go under the skin. And exactly at the moment when you penetrate the vein, the light disappears because the green light gets absorbed by the hemoglobin in blood, which means that we can give an instant indication of penetration into the vein. Compared to the technology that's being used today, which is flashback chamber, with flashback chamber, the blood needs to travel from the tip of the needle into the flashback chamber at the end of the needle, and that process takes between 1 to 3 seconds according to the manufacturers. If there is some tissue clogging the end of the needle, or if patients have difficult veins, or for example with children, oftentimes the blood does never travel into the flashback chamber, making it impossible for the practitioner to know that they have successfully penetrated the vein. And even when it works exactly as it should with flashback chamber, the 1 to 3 seconds is more than enough time for the practitioner to penetrate through the vein or otherwise damage the vein, making it difficult, if not possible, to successfully place the catheter. With our device, as said, we can give an immediate indication of penetration into the vein, thus making it easier and more reliable to place the catheter successfully. We have just completed our initial clinical trials in the Helsinki University Hospital with 30 patients, where we proved that our device works exactly as intended. So in 100% of the cases, the device and the light disappeared when we entered the vein. And number two, it also showed that there are no adverse effects from using our device. We are currently completing our CE mark, which we hope to get by the end of Q1 this year, and we're also working on our FDA 510K approval. We had our pre-submission meeting in the summer, and we are planning on completing our FDA process by the end of next year. We're planning on entering the US market during 2015, and we've already had initial discussions with the group purchasing organizations of getting into the market as soon as we have our 510K approval. And currently we are in a fundraising situation where we are looking to raise 1.5 million euros or $2 million to get through our CE mark FDA approval process and to do our initial marketing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So what's the price point of the laser?
The average price point for catheters in the markets today are in the range of average $2. Our plan at this point is to sell our catheter somewhere between $3 to $5 for each individual unit. For the electronic unit, we haven't decided on the price point yet. Technically, we could give it for free with a price point of $3 to $5 for our catheter, but we also want to price it so that it doesn't get lost easily, and there is some value attached to it as well. But our business model works even if we didn't get anything for the electronic unit.
So your key users actually will be like nurses and people who take care of sick people in hospitals or elderly homes or so forth. Do they need any training to use that device?
They need very little training. Usually they get their IV catheter training otherwise anyway, but yes, they do need to be trained to use our device as well. But it's a fairly simple training process.
Okay, last question. Where do you aim to be in 5 years?
Technically, we aim to be the new standard of care for IV catheters and blood collection needles. The projections that we've done so far is we're aiming to get about 20% of the market in 5 years.